Hello and welcome to Business Law Chapter 1. Let's get started. So, business law are the enforceable rules that govern commercial relationships, or another way to state commercial relationships are the actions of buyers and sellers in market exchanges. So, business law impacts a wide variety of topics. If you think about what a business does, they buy supplies, they hire and fire people, they obtain capital, which is money for them to run the business, and they follow rules. So you can see that business law affects all of the different areas. We've got management, distribution, marketing. Everything that a business does is impacted by the laws around it. There are several purposes of law. So let's start with the definition of law. Law are the rules of conduct in any organized society that are enforced by governing authority. If we think about it, we each might like to impose a set of rules on other people, but that might not be a fair way to go about things. So, laws provide order, they help avoid fighting, they create a sense that change is possible, they move towards social justice, they guarantee us certain freedoms, and they provide a moral guide. Laws can be classified as either public laws or private laws. Private laws are disputes between private individuals or groups, such as a dispute between two business owners when they're trying to understand or interpret the terms of their contract between each other. And public law, so that's disputes between individuals and the government. Law can be further classified as civil or criminal. And in civil law, those are the responsibilities for relationships between people or between people and the government. And in criminal law, that someone commits an act against society as a whole. Does anybody here remember the O.J. Simpson trial? That's a situation where it had both a criminal and a civil law impact. Federal and state law sources include all of the following here. So it starts with constitutions, and these are listed basically in order of how to understand them or the authority for those, with the top being the most authoritative. So looking at constitutions, these are U.S. and state constitutions, and the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Statutes are when the legislatures create laws, rules, or regulations. Cases are a collection of interpretations of statutes made by judges, also called common law. And this refers to or uses precedent, which they look at rulings in similar cases that previous judges have made, and they use those to inform the opinions they're making now. And related to that is a term called stare decisis, and that is the principle that states that rules or rulings made by higher courts are bound by lower courts. So when we're looking at or talking about the Supreme Court of the United States, they have the final say in interpreting laws. Administrative law are rules and decisions made by administrative agencies. Treaties are binding agreements between two states or between international organizations. And the last one are executive orders. So these are issued by presidents or state governors to further administer the rules that they intend. Federal administrative agencies can be classified as either independent or executive, and I'm not going to spend any time on either one of these slides. All sorts of wonderful stuff here, but we're actually going to move on to something that you'll be tested on. There are different ways of interpreting law or schools of thought on interpreting law. The first is natural law, And that is moral rightness, that there are certain things that are just above the law, and it's really based upon how people act. Legal positivism is based upon what people think is acceptable, and that basically legislative authorities deserve our obedience, whether we agree with the law or don't agree with the law. Identification with the vulnerable. This states that society should be fair and that some members of society can take care of themselves and some members can't. And we need to make sure that we're taking care of those members that can't take care of themselves. The historical school with tradition, and that states that future decisions are based upon our past actions and past decisions. Legal realism. When deciding a case, in this situation, judges need to look beyond the law and consider outside facts. And since society is always changing, this can lead to departures from history, which we've seen on the prior slide when we were looking at precedent. And then cost-benefit analysis is looking at the cost versus the benefit of decisions and using economics to help make a decision. And then critical thinking is just something that we need to apply as we're going through the chapters. First of all is find what the facts are, look for the question or the issue, look at then the judge's reasonings and the conclusions that the court reached, and then look at the references for the rules of law that the judge cited when understanding or interpreting, and then apply your own critical thinking skills to go through this. This is the end of the lecture for Chapter 1. Congratulations, you have survived one chapter.